Hydra then and a Euro chamber. He could go mass Hydras with +1 missile upgrade, or he can go Lurker and +1 carapace. You just don't know it. The easiest way to see it is constant scouting with the Corsair and looking for the amount of Hydras. There is really no easy way. But my advice would be thinking about what will change in your build if it goes for Lurker and if it goes Hydra. Because if he goes for a Lurker contain early on, he needs to use some resources to get there early on, or else he just can't get there, because you will have maybe a group of seals and you can just block his Lurker from getting to you. You can also block 2 ramps on the third basis and expand at other bases. You don't need to, but you could be doing it. Another issue is if I get there early on and manage to continue with Lurker, then I will most likely will not have the best economy. And you don't need an extremely fast third base to combat that style. Many Protoss players I play against always try to go for some sort of fast third base. He also tried to do this. I shut it down, and then he was already behind because he had overwinds. If he would have been playing for some sort of 2-base play, which he's doing right now, he would have it much easier against a Lurker contain because he just got more units. And he would also have it easier against mass Hydras because his army is so big, and you can build some High Templar early on and just let him save up storm so you can storm twice instead of just once and get countered by neuters, which snipe you. If you have a big army, it's harder for the Zerg who goes for mass. Their style, which is mass Hydras, Lurker, Muta. It's harder for the Zerg to surround you, it's harder for the Zerg to Muta snipe your High Templar. And in Fighting Spirit, for example, if you have a really big army, the middle is not so open anymore. It sort of turns into these 3 lanes, like left, the middle, and the right lane. You can also see that I'm positioning myself against this sort of Protoss ball, which is I take my side of the map and scout for his army, and if his army goes to the right side, I position my Lurker, Hydra links and stuff on the right side, and always try to check with some scout links where he's going next so I can reposition myself. So my general advice against Lurker would be don't panic, think about your macro, and try to use your current situation to the best. Which is, if you open for a speed seal opening, you can try to block the Lurker, or you can just run past it and deny any new build Zerg base, because he will most likely not make that many links against your +1 seals. If you opened up with Corsair Dark Templar, you can also deny his bases. You just need to watch a little bit about many Scorchies. But I would advise mass more gates and a late third base.
There's been very little engagement this game, and you've both teched up to nearly maxed armies. You're maxed, he's at 150. Is this an advantageous... Do you feel this is an advantageous position for Protoss or for Zerg? To just be split map like this?
Well,
it's not
I
quite
have
split map.
5 bases, I'm nearly maxed. I have the final mount ready, and he just finished his 3rd base, and his 4th base is just coming up. And as you can see, I'm taking both middle expos, placing some Lurker there, and now I'm trying to outmaneuver him if I... in the meaning of attacking expos where he isn't. And you can even do that without Hive and Defiler, but with Defiler it's easier. Naturally. I'm just trying to get my side of the map, and if I have it secured, I sort of double expo to the left and the right base, and he can't really split his forces, so I'm most likely get one base, while he opens up himself for some counterattacks. As you can see right now, he will try to attack on the right side, or positions his army this way. But I'm already maxed, so I'm looking forward for some engagement and defending most likely with Defiler and Lurker. And I counter his Justice base with my Hydraling army.
Alright. So, if I understood you correctly, you're saying that it's really the Protoss's responsibility to try to put pressure on the Zerg, because when you don't, you end up with a 7-base Zerg with Hive.
Sort of, yes. And it's quite easy to constantly mass Ultraling and Defiler from 7 bases against only 5. Because if you got more bases than him, you most likely win in a late game.
I missed it a little bit, but it's worth pointing out that this attack with the Hydralisks came down the left side and was given a free path because you sent a force on the right to engage them early. So that was yeah. It's worth pointing out because that was a really nice move. And then at the same time, now that they're back over and cleaning up the Hydralisks, you're now sending a Lurker Ling force to completely shut down the 4th or the 3rd actually. No, it's the 4th. This one's the 3rd.
I don't know. Normally, in this situation, I would reposition my Lurker either before his natural or before the 4th base. But I was so fast on 5 bases and now I'm on 7 bases. I have so much economy that I really didn't care that much about my Lurkers. So I just attacked them into this base. Normally it would be better to reposition all your Lurker and spread overlords a little bit, so you can restrict him even more on his few bases. And it's easier to point his units, the location of his unit, so you can counter him more easily.
Alright. So, as you were saying, the next step in the next progression is to go Ultralisks. Your armor's almost done. You have like 10, 11 hatcheries?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
It's nearly a square.
There are a lot of hatcheries. Yeah, and it's at this point that really there's nothing Protoss can do. The game's pretty much over from their perspective.
Yes, it was not because he had late 3rd base, it was because he couldn't use his 2-base aggression to force me into many units and take bases while doing that, because of his early 3rd base and this sort of mess with his timings all game long.
Alright. So, as you're finishing up with, were those new Mutalisks, or were those just the ones that never died from the beginning?
Those were they never died.
They never died.
I placed them on the left side to some neutral units like the Hydras on the right side of my base, on the right side of the map, the right base. Just so if he wants to run it with many units suddenly, like he builds a bunch of goons and skills and tries to run up, lose.
Alright, and that's the end of the game.
Yep.
So, that was a very solid game from your perspective, and it really fell right into what your game plan was. Was there anything that you would say that you would point out in that game and say, I did this wrong? Because from our perspective, it looks like you did everything right.
Yes. It was because his wrong things were worse than mine. He tried to expand at the time where I had enough hydras to kill it, and he tried to move out with seals and High Templar where I had mutalisks. So I bide enough time to set up more bases. I'm not too sure about the game exactly, so I don't really know how much economy I had. I mean, how many overmans and overguards I had. But most likely, my problem was that I had Defiler too late. There was a rather big time where he could have attacked me with a big Seal Goon High Templar force, if he would have built some more High Templars, before my Defiler, and it's quite hard to defend it without Defiler. I mean, I can defend it if I send everything into it and try to surround it in some way, but it's still harder to defend it without Defiler. And I'm always bad at getting my Defilers out in a CVP, sort of late game CVP, because I either forget to upgrade Consume or place the Defiler mount. Mostly happens to me. But in the mid game, it worked out pretty good for me. So it turned out me having 5 bases, and he was too scared to do something on his 2 bases.
We didn't really pay that much attention to the Defilers in that game. Were they late because you just didn't tech up fast enough, or were they late because you got the tech, but just didn't get around to integrating them into your army?
I would say because I was bad. I don't know the actual reason because I made them that late. I just know that I'm always missing something if I want to make them. I also sometimes forget the Queen's Nest until I have 5 bases and I'm like, oh, maybe Defilers would be good.